everybody. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind noise. I might actually throw up the windows and put the AC on. We'll see how this works. Up in the North Georgia mountains. Played in the mountains a little bit yesterday with the whatchamacall, with the Mustang. None of my riding friends seem interested in riding these days, so I figured I'll take up the bike. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and close the windows. Probably make for a little bit better audio that way. So, yeah. So anyway, trying to figure out, you know, how to drive a car quicker. I've spent most of my years driving trucks and SUVs and things like that, and you know, when I wanted to go fast, I'd take a bike, because a bike is a fraction of the price and it's magnitudes faster than most cars. So when I wanted to get my jollies, that's pretty much what I would do. So this is the first time I've ever actually had, you know, a fun car. And so driving it, you know, it's, in a way, it's almost like learning to drive differently. Because in a truck, you just kind of do the speed limit, and you know where the limits are. But with a performance car, you kind of want to play a little bit. And coming from a bike background, it's just so much different. You know, a motorcycle with my fat ass on it. Let's take my R1 with the cat box deleted. The bike's what, 420 something pounds, 430 pounds. It's not much, and it's spitting, you know, well over 200 at the crank and around 182 horsepower at the wheel. Throw me on top, and let's say we're still under 700 pounds. So the horsepower to weight ratio is, compared to a car, is just staggering. This Mustang, I would need probably well over 1,000 horsepower. And even then, I have no way to get it to the ground effectively. I just sit there with the tires spinning. You kind of almost need all-wheel drive or something. So it's hard to compare it acceleration-wise. So when you want to go quick, you know, in a car, even a car with 450 horsepower, you know, it takes a little longer to get up to that speed, and then to scrub that speed off, you got 4,000 pounds roughly. You're trying to slow down. Whereas on a bike, you're up to that speed and probably back to the speed limit before most cars even get to that higher speed, right? So in the back of my head, I'm thinking of that. I'm thinking about, you know, don't want to get tickets, don't want to wrap the car around a tree. You know, in a bike, it's harder to pick up on laser and stuff like that. And the bike doesn't always look like it's going fast, just because it's small, and so its size in relation to its surroundings, it's deceptively quick. You can get up to speed and back and not necessarily look like you're up to something, and it doesn't take as much time. A car, it's kind of hard to hide it. The car looks like it's going fast. You know, I'm going in speeds where I'm 10 over the speed limit, and I feel like, oh, maybe I'm going a little quick. But on the bike, I'd be going double the speed limit, not even thinking anything of it. So it's a kind of a rewiring of my brain in a way to get a feel for the car. The other thing is grip. I'm on these P0s. I got the performance package, and it's got the Pirelli P0s, which for run flats are really good. It's a 255/40/19 in the front, 275/40/19 in the back. But they're still run flats, right? In order to be a run flat, it's got to be a very stiff carcass, hard rubber, to be able to run for 50 miles with zero air pressure if you tear the tire or put a hole in it. So they're about as good for the most part. You know, they're up there as far as what you can get for run flats, but they're never going to be as grippy and as absorbing of the road, and just, they're just never going to be as good as a conventional tire. So that's in the back of my head, trying to figure out, like, you know. By the way, we're up in Helen, Georgia. We're going to go up 1775 north, hit some really nice twisties up near Hiawassee. just north of the town here. And then we'll take some county roads back. I probably won't even bother doing much as far as recording there. But then when we get to over to Lake Burton, there's a really nice twisty road. I'll put the camera back on. But anyway, that's where we are in case you're wondering. So yeah, I figured I'd use this time while I'm going slow just to kind of talk about what's coming up and what I'm thinking here. So I'm trying to figure out, you know, what tires should I go to? I don't want to go to a summer tire because in the winter, it does get cold. It does get down in the 20s and 30s here regularly in the wintertime, and I don't want to have to swap out tires for each season. So I'm going to go with an all season, but I'm thinking, I don't know, there's a set of Toyos that looks appealing for the price. There's a set of Michelin Power Sport 4s or something like that. So I'm kind of looking for something that'll give me some good, much better grip than the run flats, and I'll either just have to have a tire plug kit. I've already got an electric pump with a tire gauge, all that shit that came from Ford. And I'll just get a good plug kit with different kinds of plugs. That's what my dad did in his Vets. Or I guess I could get a spare tire. But, and I guess there's roadside assistance for anything other than that. But, you know, trying to figure out the grip, like on a bike in the turns, it's like I know what speed I can go through these turns, and I'm riding on roads that I'm familiar with it, but even though I'm familiar with them, you know, being in a car is totally different. I'm used to leaning the bike, and so you don't feel the G's as much. Like if I go through a turn at the speed, I'll be pulling at least a G in the turn in a car, and you feel all that lateral push and the car wanting to kind of tip that way a little bit, although the sway bars are keeping the car pretty damn flat. But you feel all that force pushing you outside, whereas when you lean over on a bike, it's still pushing you down into the bike. So it feels totally different because the car is staying flat, whereas the bike, you're leaning it at a 45 or 48 or, you know, whatever degree angle. So it's really a different kind of feel. And I realize someone's probably thinking, well, yeah, duh, dumbass, it's a car, not a bike. But again, I've never been a car guy. You know, this is the first performance vehicle I've ever owned that was not on two wheels. So, anyway, that's what I'm trying to figure out. If you've got a Mustang, it's got the performance pack, so they're 19-inch rims all the way around. They're 9-inch in the front and 9.5s in the back. I'm trying to figure out what's the best bang for the buck for a good, grippy, much better riding, much better grip, cornering, handling, all that than the P0s that I've got on here. But not a summer tire. I need something that will work year-round. I think I can go, from what I'm reading, with the 9-inch front, I can easily go up to a 265 or a 275 in the front, and the back that is currently a 275 on a 9.5-inch rim, I can go up to a 285 or 295. Anything over that would start to get bulging and things. So what I'm curious is if I go up to from a 255, 40 in the front, if I go up to the 265 or 275, do I stay with a 40 or do I drop to a 35 series? And that way it's wider but shouldn't be any taller, maybe a tiny bit lower, but because I'm going wider, maybe the 35 would be about the same ride height. I just want to make sure I'm not going to run into any rubbing issues or anything like that. I just want to throw them on and go. So any Mustang owners with the performance package, what size tires are you running reliably, easily, that just pop on with no spacers, no adjustments, and that handle really well, and that are a good all-season tire? I'm not looking to go crazy and spend $2 grand on freaking tires. I realize I'll have to spend something to improve what I've got, but looking for the best bang for the buck. I'm not as worried about mileage because, I mean, maybe I'll start driving more now that I've got a fun car and it's not just a truck. But I'd be surprised if I drove over 18,000 miles a year. So if I've got a tire that's only going to last me 25, 30,000 miles, and every year I got to spend $1,500, or every other year I got to spend $1,500 on tires, don't care. Just the cost of doing business, it's an expense. I'll absorb that. I won't even think about it. So let me know what you think. I'm going to shut off the camera here, stop yapping, turn off the AC, open the windows so you can hear the engine, and when we jump back into the video here, I'll be up a little bit in the twisties, playing around just a little bit. Again, I don't know where the limits of the tires are. I know they're run flats, I know they're decent, but I know I've also got 4,000 pounds of weight now, not 400, and it's a whole different dynamic. So it's almost like I got to relearn these roads and figure out what, you know, when I'm up here on a bike, I was with John yesterday, going down Richard Russell, and it's like I know exactly how fast I can run every single turn on that road. I've been running down that road, I don't know, whatever it is, 90-something turns for, what is it, like 8-9 miles, something like that. And I've been running that almost weekly for 14 years. And on a bike, I know exactly how fast I can go, where to tip it in, where to brake. On this turn, I know I gotta scoot a little more to the inside and hit the apex exactly, otherwise I'm gonna be on some really squiggly tar snakes which make the front end go all, and it's like I know when it's coming up, I know where that turn is. But in a car, it's like I gotta relearn everything because what applies to a bike doesn't really apply here. So anyway, enough yapping, let's get to the driving. And we're getting to the twisty bits, and of course I'm behind some tree hugger and a freaking Subaru, which is always the case. So now I gotta figure out how to get around him. Oh, I've had clear road the whole time, and now I've literally gotten to the fun part, and I gotta follow this chowderhead. And the guy was on his phone before, so he's weaving all over the friggin' place. And he's still doing that. What an asshole. Every time. There's gotta be some idiot that doesn't know the road. I'm sure this is riveting video for you to watch. It's equally fun for me watching this guy do 5 under the speed limit the whole way. Coasting uphill. It's going to open up to 2 lanes here. I'll be able to blast past them. Even using the paddle shifters on this thing, honestly. The automatic kind of keeps it in the power band, so I'm not really having to mess with it. Oh, feel the tires slipping a little bit, but nothing getting out of sorts. Feel a little lateral. Oh, someone's transmission oil all over the fucking. Motor sounds good, bouncing off the rock walls. Yeah. Sport Plus, so the traction stays on. I can feel power out of the turns, the back wanting to spin up a little bit, and then I feel the traction just grab it and keep it straight. This is fun on a bike, man. Not gonna lie, it's fun in a car. The downshifts, it gets a real inch braking. now we're coming into all the downhill section. Now I might go down to paddle shifting so I can use engine braking a bit more, although I'm gonna try and see how well the automatic transmission does. So if I stab the brake a little bit, should downshift it. But let's go down. I'm in 9th, 8th, 7th. All right, now we're in 4th gear. 3rd. 2nd. That's kind of cool. It's just braking. I'm not even touching the brake pad. Love the rev matching when you're using the paddle shifters. It's great. What I love about this motor is just the way it revs. I know the 6.2 LS in the Camaros has got more torque. It's got more grunt, as does the Hemi. But the way these things just rev. Very cool. Go back to auto. Not bad. I mean, I'm not hauling ass either, but going through some of the turns, getting on the gas in the turn like I would on a bike. I was trying to see if the back end would want to start feeling squirrely or anything like that. And honestly, it kind of stayed in line and just did its thing. And when I would feel the back end start to come a little bit under acceleration, I'd see the little traction light come on, and it would just, it was only just starting, and it would whoop, just straighten itself out. So very, very cool. I think a better set of tires. These run flats feel okay. Again, keep in mind I'm comparing to a truck, so anything's gonna feel good. But they do feel a little bit hard. I feel like proper non-run flats in a softer compound to be a bit more compliant. Alright. Well, that's about the end of this little stretch of twisties. That was 1775, just north of Helen. We're heading up to Hiawassee in about, I don't know, 8 miles. We're going to make a right onto, oh, that's Route 2 or 76 or something like that. And we'll take that over to, that might be a little bit of road. I'll throw the camera on for that. There's a couple little twisty bits that are good. And then we'll hit Lake Burton. It's got some nice roads that you've seen on the bike. So we'll pick up there in a bit. was him. Thank you. Awesome. That's cool. Thank you. Thank you from Texas. Ooh, these tar snakes are horrible. We were down here like a month ago on bikes, and holy crap. My car is feeling squirrely. The bike was worse. At least the car could slide a little left or right, but it's not going to fall out from under me. On the bike, you got to worry about low siding or high siding for that matter. But even in the car, those are unsettling. On the bikes, I'm not gonna lie, they were terrifying. We tipped through here at like 10 under the speed limit. Normally tar snakes aren't that bad, but these ones, holy crap. My car is wiggling all over the place. Those things are so slick. So we're gonna back it down a notch. At least they put pavement in the damn turn, so you're not in the turn, but still the second you come out. Just south of the restaurant, it goes back to the old tar snakes. Hopefully they haven't redone it down there too, because this is one of our favorite roads up here. Very little police presence, and you don't have to go that fast to have fun. That's the good thing. You get up on Richard Russell and some of the roads that have more sweepers and stuff, and I guess that's a big difference between the bike and the car. On the bike, you got the whole lane to use and stuff like that, or if you're max wrist and you want to use the other lane and the other shoulder, but most normal riders try to stay in their lane unless they're passing. You know, for a leader bike, for like an R1, for it to really feel alive, you got to be going stupid speeds before it really starts to make sense and work. But on a road like this, in a car, you do not have to be going that fast. And you throw in this tar snakes moving the car all over the place. Makes it feel like you're going way faster than you are. It's a shame those tar snakes have ruined what was before this a really wonderful road. And I'm sure the locals are liking it because it probably brought the speed down. And some people might even stay away because of it. But it was a fun bit of road. I mean, you can see this. And I'm not even rolling through here that fast. I'm at 55. I think it's a 45. Now I'm at 52. I'm not really going much over the speed limit. But some of these are like 25, 30 mile an hour turns. And so when you go through them in a car, man, I don't trust those tar snakes. And that's what was throwing us off on the bike. You're like, oh, dude, pavement, you're good. You pick up the pace, and then immediately it ends and you're back on the damn tar snakes. Horrible. Feels good here though. This used to be such a good road. Okay, good pavement, enjoy it, and it's gone. Back on the tar snakes. Trust the grip. Yeah, let the back end slide out. again, at least the electronics are catching it, so I don't have to worry about fishtailing. But I wasn't giving it that much gas. So between those tar snakes and those P0s, I mean, there's something to be said about, I guess, having a little less traction, is that it keeps your speed in check. It would be nicer to have a better, more compliant, little grippier, confidence-inspiring ride. The run flats are okay for most people. Like if you're just commuting and you want to go play a little bit, they're great. I think if you want to come up to the mountains regularly and you want to, you know, push it a little bit and have some fun, you can get away with it. You just got to know that they're going to be limited grip. The higher mileage and the ability to run with no pressure, you're sacrificing something, right? Most tires, you get grip or you get longevity. And especially if you have to have longevity, I mean, think of how stiff and supportive a tire needs to be able to take a car that weighs 4,000 pounds, roughly, and go for 50 freaking miles with no air pressure. That is not a tire that's going to give you a compliant, sticky, grippy ride. You're giving up that grip and that performance for the ability to not have to have a spare and not have to worry about a flat for 50 miles, which, you know, in most cases, it'd be more than enough to get you to a shop. But, yeah, we're going to have to go with another set of tires. I'm going to go with a discount tire this week. See what they suggest. I'm sure upgrading tires on a Mustang are pretty common. They'll be like, here's what you need. If you want to spend a lot of money, buy this. If you want pretty damn good, a big step up from what you got, or not crazy money, go with this. That's probably what I'll go with. See, these dogs are coyotes. Those looks like dogs. Before, when I had the camera turned off, a couple big coyotes ran across the road right in front of me. Fortunately, the camera wasn't rolling. So I think I am going to stop here for lunch. Screw it, I'm not that hungry. The tires are nice and hot, so I'll keep going. Now it's right up here where we start getting back onto the good roads. Let's see how much battery I got left. 28%. Don't know if that'll be enough for the whole stretch of road. I have to pull over somewhere and swap out to a fresh battery. But it was right around here, if I remember last time, where there's still tar snakes, but they're old. So I should be flying all over the place. Get some grip back. Pretty sure we're good now. That is a tight turn. That one will catch you out if you don't know it's there. This one too, because it's a little bit off camber. Oop, a little bit of sliding out of the back on that one. Again, traction control does a great job of catching it. I really am impressed with this auto transmission, man. You know, I did the video before about why I just don't care about slower, they're more work. You got 6 gears instead of 10, so I understand why you wouldn't want a manual with 10, but with the 10-speed auto, man, the gears are closer together, so it keeps you in your power band more, whereas with a 6-speed, each gear is taller. So you gotta be a little more picky about your gear selection, keep yourself in that power band. But this thing does, I mean, like, I'm not having to mash it to downshift it. I think the car senses when I'm pointing downhill, because it starts automatically engine braking a lot of times and rev matching and doing all that crap. And if you just tap the gas, and instantly it downshifts like 4 or 5 gears at once, like just like that. You're right back in your power band faster than I could shift down with a manual. So it really is a spectacular, as far as autos go. I've read a lot of good things about them. I've read that the Mustangs and the Mach 1s and stuff, they have the manual, they've been having problems with them. So, as well as it being slower and, you know, more of a hassle in traffic, they've also been having some reliability issues. But this 10-speed seems to be freaking bulletproof. And I love the way it shifts. Downshifts, all of a sudden your engine braking, the motor's revving. It just kind of takes care of it, man. Only it can't help is slow people in Kias. Hoping they will either give me an opportunity to pass or they will turn off. But holy crap, come on guys, you're 5 under the speed limit. I know, not everybody wants to go fast, but at some point just to get a fresh battery in here. Otherwise, it will almost certainly go dead right in the middle of a really cool spot. So, alright, I guess this is as good a time as any to sign off for now. I'll pull over somewhere and get a fresh one in there and we'll pick back up. There's a good stretch of road coming up, so we'll catch up with you in a minute. And we're back. So I don't know what road this is. I think this is 197, so just south of Lake Burton. Great little stretch of road. You've seen it before on the bikes. And let's now see it in a car. Oh, roads are a little wet. Must have a little rain in here. I want to be careful on some of these turns then. Speed-wise, we're in the 50s. Not going that fast. I mean, definitely speeding. But nothing crazy. This area you always want to slow down for. It's tight and there's usually people walking across the road, so just slow down right here, make sure sure there's nobody in the road. Love that color green on the TRD Pro Rough 4Runner. Almost bought one of those, got this instead. Happy that I did. There really are very few sounds that are better than a V8 bouncing off of a rock wall. You know, I looked at the Kia Stinger. I know, oh, Kia makes a great car these days, and that Stinger is a great little car. All-wheel drive, 368 horsepower, turbo V6, Brembo's Magna-Ride suspension. Much nicer interior, much more luxury than this thing is. However, it does not have that V8 sound, and even if you put exhaust on it, it ain't ever gonna sound like that. Maybe just as fast as this. I'm pretty sure it is. But there's something about the sound of a V8. And the handling on this is impressive. You know, stock run flats notwithstanding. I will say when I feel it sliding a little bit, it's very controlled. You can feel what's happening. So in that regard, you know, and you got the electronics to help, at least with the back end. But it's a lot of car for the money. Get a V8, just a GT with basic stuff in it for 40 if you want. You get the GT with some of the upgrades, and you throw in the performance pack and all that stuff, and you're up around 50-ish. But that's a lot of car for the money. When you think a few years back, you know, you think about like what an M3 costs, and you can say, well, that's German, it's way more luxury. Oh, okay, fine, but whatever. If you just want something that's cheap, thrills, reliable, these Coyote motors and this transmission, don't hit this hill going really fast, or you will Dukes of Hazzard right into that freaking hill. When you think about how much car you get for the money, and you get a V8, I mean, I haven't as far as mods go yet. We modified the stock cold-air intake, but I'm going to get the JLT. Oh, that's another thing we'll talk about. Went up to Vengeance Racing, talked to them a bit, and you know, they could do a really nice package where they'll do the cook headers and a bunch of other stuff, full dyno tune, and but it's like $6,000. But we'd be talking about fairly considerable performance gains. More if I want to do an E85 too, which I don't, because you can't get it everywhere. And unlike the GM Flex Fuel, or maybe some of the Ford, but whatever, the ones that have Flex Fuel, here I'd have to have it, I'd have to retune it. If I couldn't find E85, then I'd have to put the regular gas tune back in there. So, did want to do that, but I was like, oh, I'm not going to spend $6,000 yet. I have a feeling I'm going to keep this car a while. I don't tend to flip cars the way I do bikes. And if I find something I like that is so customizable and I can do a lot of neat stuff to, we're going to do long tube headers and a proper tune. If I have this thing in a couple years where I'm not worried about warranty anymore, we're probably going to do a blower. We're going to do a supercharger. I'm not going to max it and try to get 1,000 horsepower, any crazy. But getting up around 600, you could do a mild boost and get very reliable 600 horsepower out of this without having to worry about blowing up your drivetrain or blowing up the motor and stuff. And then focus the rest on handling, shocks, sway bar, you know, things like that. Make it handle just like a dream and be able to use all that power. So I'll probably do the JLT intake, and they'll do what they call a street tune for $450. And that only, you know, might give me 15, 18, 20 horsepower, a little better throttle response. And I think that'll be fine for now, until I get to a point where I want to start dumping some money in it. But bang for the buck, I'm trying to think of a better, I mean, there's the Camaros. And would I have gotten the Camaro over this? I might have. But nobody had any. I'm glad I didn't go with the Dodge. I just don't trust their reliability long term. But I know like a Camaro SS, like a 1SS or a 2SS package, they got great chassis. That 6.2 LS motor's great. Got more torque than this lower down. You don't have to rev it up as much. But it doesn't scream up top and rev out like this does, unless you do a whole ton of work to it. But it is just a wonderful little car. Love that downshift. Crackling on D-cell is great. Yeah, the way it downshifts, it's almost like it's anticipating. And that's where I wonder if this thing has an IMU. Like a motorcycle knows what you're doing in 3 dimensions. So you got pitch, roll, and yaw. I'm wondering if you're going downhill, it automatically says, oh, let me give you some engine braking. Let me downshift for you. Because somehow it just knows. It picks the right gear, and all of a sudden going down a hill and I want to slow down a little bit, boom, I'm down in my power band. It's great. Say it sounds glorious, and that's actual sound. Stereo's off. That sound tube that takes induction noise and pumps it into the cabin to make it sound louder in the cabin, that's all gone. I removed that whole system. We're at the end of most of the twisties. You probably watched this long enough that you've already moved on and are bored with it. So we'll go ahead and shut it off. Before I do, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. And there's going to be some more content coming. I don't know what yet, but we're going to do some fun stuff with this Mustang over time. I'm going to think about it this summer. Think about some mods. We'll do some tires. I'm going to see about signing up maybe for a track day up at Road Atlanta. I'll get track day insurance for a day. Most of the time when you do track days on cars, you're not covered by your insurance company, but for 200 bucks you can pay for a daily insurance rate. So if you do wad your car up on track, you're covered. At that point, why not? I'll try it. I don't want to beat on it too much, but I think it'd be neat to go out on a track that I know really well. Do it in the car, so. Anyway, I guess I'll hit these last little bits of twisties and then we'll shut her down. Thanks for watching.